Time to see what's got Edinburgh talking, and we're joined by Thomas Lynch, director of Dad's Rock Academy, and Raymond Notarangelo, who's director of the Holyrood Partnership. Good evening, Raymond. It's your first time on the show tonight. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes, glad to be here.
Before we get to our first talking point, I understand you've got a wee present for us tonight.
Yes, just under here.
Right, Thomas, what you got for us?
A pant lunch.
Look at that.
Oh, pineapple Charlotte.
Pineapple Charlotte.
Who made that?
Me, today.
Did you?
In my kitchen.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Thanks so much for that. This was a running theme on the show last week, Swedish Pineapple Charlotte. Thanks for that, Thomas. I'll have that
Can
a little
we have it
later.
now?
No, it's for later.
Right, on to the talking point. Raymond, you've got our first story. Tell us where it's from and what it is.
Yes, well, I actually should think probably next time I'll make sure I bring something for you as well that's got a bit of an Italian twist. But anyway, the first story is from the Herald. Lothian Buses, an organisation that's not being shy in making itself hit the headlines for perhaps the wrong reasons, has again found itself in the news. 3 of its directors went down to London to attend a golfing society event that pretty much is a men-only event. So you have 3 guys from a public organisation going down to an event representing Edinburgh in this way. And obviously, this is 2015, it shouldn't be happening. I just think it's something that, they should have thought twice about it. Thankfully, their chairman's now come back and said to them that this was wrong, and this will be the last time that anyone from Lothian Buses will be attending an event of this nature.
Just because it was a men-only event?
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, you've got the Royal and Ancient Golf Society, which everyone knows had this historic rule about not allowing women in. Even they've changed now. 260 years of traditions changed there as well now last year when they voted to allow them to come in. So why something didn't ring in the ears of the Lothian Buses bosses when they got invited to this event, I thought there's something not quite right here.
Thomas?
Yeah, I love the fact that it said in the article that, there were some women in the attendance, but they were out serving, or they were the staff, and that was the only women that were there. So I absolutely agree with Raymond that it's just ridiculous.
Just to let you
know
as well, that those noises you can hear, it's just our lovely chef in the kitchen tonight.
Cooking our dinner.
Yeah. So in case you're wondering what it is. But can I ask, do Lothian Buses have any female directors that they could have maybe taken down and said, well, look, you're saying it's no, but to show that there's support for, and maybe play devil's advocate a bit, and said, well, you've invited us down, but actually one of our directors is a female. Do they have anybody? They must do.
I imagine they do have, yes, I'm sure they do have in that sense. I mean, but it's, the argument back from the organisers of the event was that several years ago they invited Anne Gloag, the stagecoach tycoon, to come along to it, and she accepted. And they claim that they have an open policy of inviting women to join society and no one to this day has joined. And that's probably more to do with the fact that people feel very uncomfortable, women would feel very uncomfortable attending an event, which, as Thomas has said, is very much patronising towards women. And as I said, in 2015, it shouldn't be happening.
Raymond, you are a PR expert. What would your advice be to them just now?
Lothian Buses.
Go to an all-women's event.
Go to an all-women's event. Start finding some good stories about people and enjoying their bus experience in Edinburgh, because they need to start reversing the negativity of what's happening here. I mean, the directors in the news for all the wrong reasons. Lothian Buses, going back to the old days of LRT, it's an organisation and it's a group that people have a strong connection with in Edinburgh, and they've lost that. And obviously the tram thing has people's memories of the tram fiasco is still living pretty long in the memory, and they need to do something to reverse that. And they need to find some positive, good stories about what's happening on the buses, their drivers, their staff, to take away some of the negative stuff that's happening.
I did wonder whether this was actually trying to be a good news story, and that they were saying, look, we're not going this year.
Yes.
We went before, but look how we've improved.
And it's backfired.
Yeah.
But I agree with Raymond. I think the Us on the Bus stuff they did was really good, where they had local folk on the buses.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah.
They need to get back to what they were good at.
Get Grant Stott back on the bus.
You don't want Grant Stott on the bus, you've got us on the bus.
Exactly.
Anyway, Thomas, you've got our next story. What is it and where is it from?
Yes, a story about the Royal High, about the development, £55 million development for turning Royal High School into a hotel. And the one picture that was shared on the news story, I think it looks amazing. And in my lifetime, I've only ever known this building to be lying empty and unused. I've never seen it used in my lifetime. So I think, there's always pros and cons with converting old buildings into modern use and to getting people into it. But I think it's got to be a good news story, hasn't it? Because again,
I'm looking at it. I mean, the Edinburgh Evening News are saying it's going to cost £55 million. Is it going to happen?
Hopefully it's going to happen, because I think it's going to draw people to that part of town, whereas at the moment you just kind of bypass that part of town, don't you? So I think it would be a great development, and it'd be, from my nosy point of view, it'd be good to be able to go inside and see it and to use the building, because it talks about the fact that it's not getting used and it's just lying empty.
Are you up for that, Raymond?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got so many hotels opening in Edinburgh, and people may question, have we reached a saturation point? But that isn't the case. Edinburgh Airport's passenger figures are still increasing. The occupancy rates for Edinburgh hotels are still sky high. I understand that the biggest demand for hotels now is coming from tour parties and from corporates. So the resurgence of the economy is obviously bringing people back into Edinburgh. The tourism aspect is bringing people back. I read something last year that Lonely Planet described Scotland as the third most popular place in the world to visit in 2014. And obviously Edinburgh is a place that figures high in most people's agendas when they come into Scotland. So the demand is there.
So it's not oversaturated. I always thought that Edinburgh was a bit oversaturated when it came to hotels, but not the case in your opinion? No.
I think it depends on the type of hotel.
Right.
Yeah. I think, to me, there seems to be a lot of budget hotels, and I think this doesn't look like it's going to be a budget hotel.
No, it's not. Not just spending £55 million.
It's going to be quite bespoke, isn't it?
And the view they'll have as well. I mean, that view is
exactly.
just... you'd pay £55 million for that alone. Anyway,
Thomas,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Raymond, well done, mate. Thanks for coming in.
You're heading off into social media now to find out what's happening. But thank you both so much for coming along. Lovely to have you on the show.
At Holyrood PR, we believe that finding and sharing our clients' stories on paper, online and on air increase the bottom line while making better places to work.